Hi, and welcome to the video on terminating and recurring decimals. By the end of this video, you should be able to recognize a terminating decimal and understand the notation used for a recurring decimal. So let's take a look. I'm going to start this video off with an example. I'm going to change 1/4 into a decimal. To do this, I want to know how many times 4 will go into 1. Now, 4 is a much bigger number than 1, so it actually goes into it 0 times. But I have a remainder here. So what I do is I start to create some decimals. I can create zeros for as long as I want, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create 3 of them because I won't need very many. And above my decimal point here, I'm going to put another decimal point. See, what I can do now is I can say, ask myself, how many times does 4 go into the number 10? And that 4 goes into the number 10 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8, with 2 left over. I have a remainder here. Now, I ask myself the same question now. How many times does 4 go into 20 this time? Now, 4 goes into 25 times, and there is no more remainders, so 1/4 is the same as 0.25. This is a terminating decimal. And it's a terminating decimal because it stops. It doesn't keep repeating. It stops at the second decimal place, which is the 5. Now what I want to do is show you 1/3. Now you might know what 1/3 is as a decimal, but I'll show you by division how many times 3 goes into 1. Now 3 goes into 1 0 times, and just like I did on the last time, I'm going to put in a decimal point, and I'm going to put a few zeros after it. Now I can put as many zeros as I want. Again, I'll just put 3 in. So I do the same thing as I did in my last question. I do 3 into 10, and it goes 3 times. Now 3 times 3 is 9, so I have a remainder of 1 left over. So now I ask myself, how many times does 3 go into this 10 here? And 3 goes into 10 3 times again with 1 left over. And I do it again. 3 into 10 goes 3 times with 1 left over. Now I could keep putting zeros on the end of this number here, and I could keep putting zeros on the top here, but I can see a pattern. It's going to continue on forever. So this 1/3 can be written as 0.333333. It can keep going on forever. I'll put 3 dot dot dots. This is what we call a recurring decimal. Oops, 2 R's. This is a recurring decimal because the 3's repeat forever and ever. Now, we don't want to have to keep writing this out every single time, so the way we write a recurring decimal is we go to the first number that's being repeated, in this case it's the 3, and we put a little dot above it. So this is exactly the same. This 0.3 with a little dot above it is the same as this 0.33333 with the 3 dots after it. So that's the difference between a terminating decimal and a recurring decimal. Now, what happens if different numbers recur? For example, what if I had the number 0.191919? So I've got these numbers that are repeating, but I've got 2 numbers that are repeating this time. Well, the way we write that is we start off with a 0.19, and those numbers are being repeated. And what I do is I put a little dot above the first number and a dot above the last number that is being repeated. So in this case, 0.191919 being repeated is 0.19 just with a dot above the 1 and a dot above the 9. What about 0.36166161 dot dot dot? So this time the repeating starts at the 6, not at the first decimal place. Well, that's simple. I can write 0.361, and the numbers that are being repeated are the 6 and the 1. So I'll put a dot above the 6 and a dot above the 1. 1/7 is an interesting number. This is 1/7 as a decimal, 0.142857. 142857. 12857. I forgot the 4. Look at that. There's the 4. So this, you can see there's a set of numbers being repeated here. It is the 142857. Oh, forget this little 1 at the end. I can delete that. So how do I show that repeater? How do I show that many numbers being repeated? Well, here's how I do it. I start off by writing out the decimal, 142857. Those are the numbers that are being repeated, and I put a dot above the first number and the last number. And this is the notation for writing a recurring decimal, where we have a large set of numbers being repeated. You'll now need to pause and summarize the video in order to get down the notes for terminating and recurring decimals. And that's it. Hopefully now you understand what a terminating decimal is, and you also understand the notation used for a recurring one. Good luck. Okay, now you need to pause and summarize about terminating and recurring decimals, and you'll be done. Hopefully now you understand what a terminating decimal is and the notation for what a recurring decimal is. Good luck.